Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live on another Tuesday edition here of Prop Stars. That's my boy TJ. We're going to get right into it. It was a crazy week of football. We're really excited to be here. Thanks for tuning in, checking us out. TJ, we're going to talk about it and pull the Band-Aid right off. The New York Giants, the G, man, had the Broncos dead to rights entering the fourth quarter. Please take it from there.
Yeah, honestly, I'm tired of all the talking heads saying Dayball blew it, Giants are imploding. This is the most excited I've been as a Giant fan in 15 plus years. We were never making the playoffs this year. We have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Did we lose that game? Yeah. Did we miss 2 extra points? Yeah. Did Jackson Dart throw a bad pick? Yeah. But now guess what? We know we have our quarterback.
Brushed over all of that.
Yeah, so but I'm okay brushing over it. Right, we're not going to the playoffs this year. Who are we kidding? We're building something special now. Now we know we have our quarterback for the next 15 years. There is no doubt. His head is always up. He's a great athlete. He's tough as nails. And look at the way these guys are playing for him. Cam Skattebo.
He's got an electric arm too, man.
Skattebo's dude, the arm is electric. The way he moves around the pocket, the way his head is always up. I see it a lot with Lamar Jackson sometimes, and Lamar Jackson's gotten so good at it. But what's the point of scrambling around if all of a sudden, once you get out of the pocket, your head goes down? The great quarterbacks keep their head up. Some of the throws Jalen Hurts made across his body, putting zip on it. I already saw, on Sunday, he has no doubt a top 5 arm in the NFL. I don't know about
you said Jalen Hurts. You're still talking about Jackson Dart, right?
But yeah, Jackson Dart. Right. I'm saying like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. These are the guys that he's got arm talent. He's got speed. He's got mobility. So as a Giant fan, right? Andrew Thomas was destroying people. Probably a top 5 left tackle now that he's healthy. He looked amazing against Denver. Literally just shut one of the best pass rushers down in the NFL. We have Skattebo, who's our running back. Tough, young, and he's only going to get better. Now we have a quarterback. Yeah. Now we have a quarterback for the next 15 years, right? That's our guy. There's no way if Dayball is the coach of this team, Dart doesn't ascend and be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Well, There's no way. You have a great defensive line. So you got like these 7, you got linebackers, ends, right? So all that's built in your trenches. You just need to go add a couple more CBs or safeties. And then you have like literally the whole package. You get Malik Neighbors coming. You know, one thing I did see, I got a couple of notes here of just like random things that we saw throughout the games. Wan'Dale Robinson had 12 targets, right? Yeah. He caught 6 of them. You know, on the other 6 targets, he was flagged. It was crazy how much that it was just like bad luck. You know what I mean? Like Wan'Dale Robinson was way more involved in the game than what we were able to kind of see on a stat line, and he still has 6 catches, 95 yards, and a tutty.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wide receiver 1 going forward. We already talked about it early in the year. I was talking about how shocked I was to see such a heavy target count for somebody other than Neighbors, because we know Neighbors was like in his own stratosphere. Wan'Dale Robinson is right there. And now you have no Neighbors, and you still have all this time for him to build this rapport with Jackson Dart going forward. And then you have that stepping stone for next year. So no matter what, as Neighbors is going to be elite, you have Wan'Dale Robinson ready to fill in and be that dynamic too that you need. And then you have all these tight ends. Kind of crazy, right? Like from Bellinger or Theo, and you don't know kind of who you're getting. So yeah, I really do. I'm not saying we fear the Giants. You obviously have something cooking over there for sure. And did you see Sean Payton's interview afterwards when they were talking about it?
No, I didn't see it.
Sean Payton, he was like, "Yeah, they really got something going on over there with that quarterback, huh?" Like he was talking about Jackson Dart, and it's about as high of a praise of a compliment from an opposing head coach as you can get. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. And that's a great point about Wan'Dale Robinson, because I'm not talking fantasy here. Yeah, fantasy, we always talk fantasy. It's always in the back of our minds.
Right.
But Wan'Dale Robinson has stepped up. And when Neighbors is our number 1 and we go get a Waddle, Olave, or we go find another receiver in the draft, secondary is one of the easier things to build through free agency or through draft, right? It's just that's the facts of life. So now we have a defensive line and we have a pretty good front 7. Go work on the secondary. Our offensive line with Andrew Thomas at left tackle looked pretty good, right? I am not looking at this like most Giant fans. Like Dustino, yeah, I get it. It's a bad it's a bad loss. But I hate saying I was talking to another Giant fan, Jeremy Parvis, fan of the show, and we hate saying after 7 games, wait till next year. But that's not my mentality either. It's just we were never going to be there this year. We couldn't find 3 or 4 wins on the schedule, so that's okay. We're not giving up.
But to your own, and I hear you, but you guys had the Cowboys on the ropes, right?
Yeah.
You had the Broncos right there.
Yeah.
You beat the shit out of the Eagles.
Yep.
You're playing with the better teams in the league. You're not taking these ugly L's, and you guys let them off the hook. Okay. I'm telling you right now, we didn't see the Giants being this good. We may have found those wins on the schedule, but now that we've seen them play and seen what wins they almost had, and obviously it's, make or miss league.
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and understand that you're a lot closer even this season than what anybody thought.
And Dustino,
you have a couple of sneaky wins. You're still going to go out there and get a couple upsets. I'm not betting against the Giants the rest of Survivor.
No,
I'm telling
you're
you
not.
right now. And I took the Broncos last week in one of my picks. And you want to talk about the ultimate sweat to come down to the last field goal. And it still took Nix dropping 2 dimes, one in the middle of the field, one up the rope or one up the sideline to Mims, just to even get in that position with 30 seconds left. It took everything from the Broncos to win that game. I mean, you guys, you have more wins in you. And I think it may be a tough loss, but what a confidence builder, because you now know that Denver's an elite defense. Philly is a Super Bowl champion. You're playing with some of the best teams and defenses in the league, and you're kind of having your way with them. So there's definitely some hope.
And Dustino, we're not even at that point yet where we call moral wins, right? Moral wins are for teams that had a projection to be good. We were coming into this year with that schedule, knowing we were going to be a disaster. We were saying as Giant fans, it's probably going to be Russell Wilson, then maybe Jackson Dart or Jameis Winston sometime throughout the year. We knew.
We at least said after 6 weeks that we had seen it, right?
We knew after the Cowboys game, and even after, not really after the Cowboys game, because Russell Wilson had one of the best games of his career, but we knew this was never going to be our year. We were never going to have a moral win this year because we're not even good enough to have moral wins. Are for, like, it's not for us, right? We are in the straight rebuild stage, right? And we did not think going into this draft, we were going to have 2 guys that we could build, or even 3 maybe with Abdul Carter. We don't know really much about him yet because he hasn't really been there yet, but I'm okay with that because there's just like the way Burns looks and the way Scatterbull looked. Burns showed us this last year, but we still questioned the contract because it was so much money. And we said, how are we paying a guy, X amount when we won't even pay Saquon X amount, right? So it was, but this is now after that Broncos win, of course it hurts, but guess what? Life goes on, right? Now for the first time, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't this excited when we had Eli Manning because I'm like, okay, the Mannings really haven't proven they're great in crunch time and this and that. And Jackson Dart is tough as nails. He's got that swag. And most importantly, he has arm talent. And also, he is not – I'm getting tired of people saying he's sneaky quick. This guy is not sneaky quick. If he was black, he would be one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. But since he's white, he's kind of tough, this, that. We lost by 2 extra points, which a guy that's not even going to be on our roster ever again. Also, I think he was wearing like number 98. Like, you're not going to be a good kicker when you're wearing 98, right? But it bothers me a little bit with Daboll and Shane, how they're managing the roster sometimes. Because now these are 2 weeks we've lost over the last 2 years where we made a mistake with our special teams kicker. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, why isn't Koo out there? And last year was with the Commanders when we knew Gano was hurt, tore his hamstring on the opening kickoff. We didn't have a backup kicker. Those little things worry me, right? But Daboll is Dayball and Dart are like this now, and they're connected at the hip. We cannot get rid of Dayball. I would rather Dayball lose us games late right now and learn. I think he's still learning to be a head coach because he got thrusted in with Daniel Jones and Saquon, and we got real hot for a year. But most Giant fans know that was kind of a facade, right? We had horrible receivers. We had really no tight ends because Bellinger wasn't even there yet. And now we went into this season saying, hopefully we can get lucky. We never had this mentality that we're building something special. And now every Giant fan knows. And there's going to be pain. There are going to be these growing pains now. But to know we have a quarterback for the next 15 years is like one of the most – and that's not an overreaction. That is the freaking eyeball test. And if you watch the interception he threw too, which was a really bad interception, as he's throwing it, he's like kind of getting his foot pulled, or he kind of like stepped in and he just meant to lob it over to linebacker, and the linebacker made a pretty good play. I mean, it was a gift, but it was almost like one of those things where I guarantee Dart learns from that. If Dart takes the sack there, the game is over because now
everybody wanted you to run the ball, right? Everybody wanted you guys to run the ball.
It's the right play. It's the right play. It was Dayball's mistake for calling a pass. It was Jackson Dart's mistake for throwing it. I mean, Theo Johnson was wide open. He just had to lob it over to linebacker. He didn't because he lost his footing. That was a horrible mistake. And if this was a game where we needed this win to go to the playoffs, it would be devastating. You see what I'm trying to say?
Right.
But it wasn't devastating because we're not there. Now, keep Dayball, keep Shane, or I don't care, get rid of Shane, but keep Dayball, keep Dart, let these guys build something special. And if we could keep Jackson Dart out of the hospital, this will be a team. Imagine Wan'Dale Robinson, like my cousin John said, put Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot, put Neighbors out wide, and get like a Waddle, Olave. I'm not going to think of a bunch of numerous guys, right?
Yeah, Waddle is definitely on the move, I think, right? They're talking about Waddle as a potential move candidate. They're talking – I mean, Kamara doesn't seem like he's going anywhere, but it's definitely going to be a Jalen Waddle. I heard 18 might be a potential kingmaker. I mean, I haven't heard that he's untradeable. You know what I mean?
The Giants have to think about this, right? If it's no numbers involved, of course you trade a third rounder for a Waddle. You just do it. Second or third. Who cares? Because Waddle's already established in the league. But the problem is now you have to pay Waddle money, right? And you don't want to have to go pay Waddle, who's going to be your number two, who's going to be making triple of what Malik Neighbors makes. So that kind of gets ugly, right? I have a feeling we draft 2 receivers in the draft just to hopefully hit on one. We're building our tight ends. So now we have a quarterback. We have a running back. We have one of the best left tackles in football. We have a good coach. We have 2 tight end sets, which we all know every team wishes they have 2 capable tight ends. Because then you can pound it down their throat when you want, or you can get open. There was a reason why Bellinger was 40 yards down the field wide open, because Jackson Dart made plays with his legs. 95% of quarterbacks would have been sacked there. He steps in. All the team was in zone. They're all looking. The Broncos are all looking at Dart. What's he going to do? Bellinger's 40 yards down the field, wide open. We have a great front four. We've been so lucky. We hit the jackpot with the quarterback. Now let's just have a great 12 to 15-year run with this team. I agree, Dusty. We keep Shane. We keep Dayball. We keep this team, and we go for the future, right? As a Giant fan, I've never been so excited.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. And that's just going to make our division, which has already been known as one of the more elite divisions of football, better. Because you'll have a Commanders team who's on the way up. You got a Giants team who's no longer dead. You got a Cowboys offense, which is dynamic. And you got the reigning Super Bowl champs and the Eagles. So it just kind of puts the teeth back in our division with the Giants being right there again, for sure.
Yeah, it does. I will say this, though. So we're bouncing around, right? We'll talk about the Dolphins really quick, because I was thinking about this, and I wanted to make sure I don't forget it. It's the same thing with Dayball, right? Dayball as a coach, his players play.
Here. You see him. You see John Tromby.
Yeah. But the other parts of the division is wide open. We'd be right. You're right. I know. You're right. We would be in it, right? We would be in it. We had the Cowboys. They are. We thought they were. We beat them. We lost, right? Yes, we win this game. It sucks. I agree, because this division is now wide open. We're wrong sometimes. If we knew the Commanders would take a step back, I said the Cowboys against the Eagles after week 1. I think the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFL. I saw it week 1. CeeDee Lamb dropped those balls. Cowboys are really good. But yes, this division is wide open. This could have been a year where maybe we do something special. But I want Dart to get out there, get all those mistakes out of the way, and let's start next year fresh. finally we have something to look forward to. But what I was going to get into with Daboll and watching Mike McDaniel and all these guys is Dolphins had so many close games. Dolphins can have a winning record this year. Let's just ignore the Browns game for a minute. Dolphins can have a winning record. They literally lost to the Patriots on a kick return. They lost to the Buffalo Bills because of a roughing the punter. The point is that you have to have a coach. You need to find that edge, and it's so freaking close, right? And you see where Mike McDaniel this year, they talked about it for the last year or two. He's kind of lost his team a little bit. That whole hippie vibe and what's up, bro, and becoming best friends with Tua when he's not even a top 50 quarterback in the NFL. That kind of vibe gets old, right? And I do worry a little bit. Does Daboll have that kind of it factor? I think he does. You know what I mean? I think Daboll does. Thanks, James. I call him James. That's my Uncle Jamie, right? We talk sports all the time. But I think Daboll does have that it factor. I don't think Mike McDaniel does. Trust me, if Mike McDaniel gets fired, I hope Daboll brings him in as an offensive coordinator because that guy has a great offensive mind. And to make that offense at times look amazing with Tua at quarterback, wait till you give him somebody that actually can throw the ball 50 yards down the field, right?
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make is this game is so close. And look at the Niners, how many injuries they had, but they still took care of business. Why? A head coach and roster building. Literally, I never thought that I would say how important.
Look at Tampa. They had their first game. They finally didn't have like a one-possession game, whereas only 3 points. They've been injured up and down, but they have a good coach. And like you're talking about a roster.
Yeah.
And those games that are just right here. Every year, we always see the teams that are 7-1 in one possession games, that are 8-0 in one possession games. Those games happen every year in the NFL, every single week, and you have to be on the right side of it because that's what you build towards. You learn from those wins. You learn from those losses. We've been talking about the lose big, lose little, right? And here we are.
Yep.
You're done losing big. You've been losing little. You've been winning a little, and you're getting close to the whole winning big thing, you know?
Yeah. So what we're talking about, we've talked about it on the show, and like what Buff mentioned, it's a quote by Bowden. And first you lose big, just the way life goes. Then you lose small, then you win small, then you win big. We were losing big last year; it was a disaster. Now we're in that lose small, win small category, and I can see this team being a win big team for the next 10 to 15 years. I think Mike McDaniel doesn't have that it factor to really have your guys ready and have that roster. But I think Shane and Daboll do. So that was what
you look at Daboll, he just looks like a dude. You look at McDaniels, he just looks like the kid on the iPad. You know what I mean? Like
there's no doubt in my mind that Daboll has learned from, I know, right? I think Daboll has learned, and he's learning as a coach, and he's growing. And I think that he's one of those guys that when he's at home, he's introspect, and he's one of those guys that self-reflects, and he's going to be he's learning as he goes as a head coach.
I agree.
And I feel very lucky to have him. I feel very lucky. And I got a little annoyed with all the Giant fans just, light sucks, the whole world is over. Yes, the last 1,062 teams that were up 18 with 6 minutes ago won. It's never happened in history. It's a horrible loss. We get that. But we were never going to be there this year. And as we're going towards draft day, we're going to look back and be like, man, that Broncos got us the 8th pick instead of the 13th pick. That's what I think we're going to look.
I'm telling you, man, I feel bad for all the Giants fans that didn't have Bo Nix on their fantasy team because they just couldn't appreciate the greatness that was going on. 4 fourth quarter touchdowns, rushing 2, throwing 2, first quarterback.
Yeah, which is a record, by the way. Yep. Nope. Did you point that out in our pre-show? Yep. It's never happened. Bo Nix is the first quarterback to ever run for 2, pass for 2. And honestly, as a fantasy football fan and a fantasy football owner, I love when people on other podcasts are talking about my team when I'm outscoring them by 100. It's kind of fun, right? Pretty cool.
I believe we did have another network call your team ass as they were reviewing your team just 24 hours ago. I think they were like eating snacks on air too. If you saw that, it was like getting a little chubby in the face. It was cute.
I think he was a little mad because on the show on Thursday we said the Lions are going to blow him out. Now I'm not going to put that in my lead pipe block. I went 1-1 on my lead pipe blocks. Everyone was thanking me because they said you went 2-1. I'm going to count it as 1-1 because even though I said the Lions would steamroll them, I said if Mike Evans and Egbuka, I go 2 out of 3, I want to be out before I say the Lions are led by blocks. But we said it on the show on Thursday. The Bucs stood no chance, right? And then once we heard Mike, yeah, and then we'll be talking about Survivor too. So, but I don't see the Lions were never going to lose that game at home. And honestly, that score lied like I've never seen a score lie before. Did you see how hard it was for the Bucs to move the ball at the end of the game?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say garbage time because if they scored, they would have been one possession. But the Lions had 2 backup safeties, 2 backup corners, and they had these dudes locked up. Baker Mayfield, to me, took a little bit of a step back, right? Because I saw him be real lazy with his mechanics, like real lazy, just throwing off his back foot. I think this was like a little bit of a reality check for him. Hey, you're not good enough to just throw off your back foot, not get your feet set, and just
on
throw
that
up
play
jump
that
balls
Mike Evans,
to your boys.
Poor Mike Evans, Luke breaking him.
That's a tough hit.
Lose your collarbone right there. You break it. And that catch he had, and the defender was draped all over him. He even had the ball secured to the ground. He gets through a roll, and then all of a sudden the ball comes loose. So you lose the meaning of a catch. And then you just see him down. You're like, what happened? And you hear about the collarbone. And how that's just, it's hard to breathe. Yada, yada. You hear about these injuries. That was a tragic injury to happen. And I felt like as soon as that happened, the game wasn't out of control, and that would have been a huge play. But you could tell that definitely took the steam out of the Bucs.
Yeah, I broke my collarbone in a football game going across the middle on a deep play. I swear to God, just like that. Difference was it was a flag football game, not an NFL football. But as I landed on the ground, long story short, me and my dad.
The ground's what got him too. It wasn't the other defender.
Yeah, my dad and Kate and I were watching the game, and I go, Mike Evans is one of the toughest guys I've ever seen in my life. For him to let go of the ball like that when he had a catch, I go, he might have like broke his neck or something. That's what I actually said. I go, I think he broke his neck because he's so tough that he would have held on to that ball
100%.
If he anyway could have, and if he's probably mad at himself today
that he let go because he had it.
Yeah. Now, collarbones, pain-wise, they say is like the worst bone to break.
Right.
I truly didn't feel that way.
Every breath, everything you do, right?
Yeah. I didn't really feel that way, but I think he broke his, I don't know, but you could tell how much pain he was in. And yeah, the problem is breathing. They're going to put him in a harness like this for like 6 to 8 weeks, and the bones will heal back. It like straightens out the bones so they heal back properly. But it's a dagger for the Bucs, and it could be the injury that prevents them from getting to the Super Bowl, unfortunately, because on that 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter, when you need that first down, Baker and Mike Evans, nobody's connected better than them over the last few years, right? Yeah. It's going to be tough. But anyways, the Lions win that game pretty easily. I was really impressed with the Lions defense, to be honest with you. And hopefully our fan of the show, Jeff Schneider, will finally admit that this Lions team is real. But did you notice every time the Lions made a tackle, they're punching the ball out?
He's not real aggressive. Admit that. The Bucs still had a fumble. They still had a pick. And for being so depleted and on the road, and you lose Mike Evans, they lost by 2 possessions, right? 15 points, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it could have been closer, could have been worse. But they did hold the Lions to 24 points at home. It was an explosive offense. The Bucs D kind of checked them a little bit. I'm just saying, I don't think it's enough for Jeff to concede that the Lions are a great team. I still think that we're on the same page, that they're better than what he's giving them. I just think that I was surprised to see the final line. The Bucs, for being so badly beat up, they kind of held him a little bit. But Jahmyr Gibbs,
the Lions are more beat up than the Bucs, though. I mean, like the Bucs
on defense for sure. They have no starting safeties or
the Bucs started the game without Bucky Irving and without Godwin. Godwin hasn't been there almost all year, and the Bucs have one of the deepest backfields in the NFL. So like it doesn't really. And then Wirfs is back. The Lions were totally depleted. Yeah, I agree. Jack Campbell is a beast, bro. And you just watching that guy fly around the field, you almost feel like Dan Campbell gave birth to Jack Campbell. and it's just like,
that's so good.
Feeling, is there no doubt in the offseason that Dan Campbell and Jack Campbell go out hunting and there's like no bottle of water, just a gun
It's not even gun. Yeah, it's not even a gun. I think they just go catch the animal. You know what I mean?
Like, Like, you're going to use a shank. This is how you do it. Or something like that, bro. 100%. It's crazy. But, Lions dominated. Won't even waste our time talking about the Seahawks Texans game,
let's bring it to the game that started us off, and we'll kind of go down from there.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco in the Icy Hot Bowl taking on Aaron Rodgers. The game, I picked the Bengals in that one. It was nice. I think I hit 2 out of 3 on my picks. The only one I missed on was Metcalf getting the over on the receptions. But it was just like we kind of drew it up. You knew the Bengals are going to be all over it. And I think it was a bad spot for the Steelers. They hadn't really played a lot of great teams up to that point. And then you have an electric offense with Joe Flacco. Now, here's what everybody's so confused about. And this is why we wanted to talk about this game. You have Joe Burrow, the Dragon Slayer. He's on the sideline.
Yeah.
The dude is the dude. Everybody knows. You love him. Joey bombs. He's got arms. He's got weapons. He's so accurate. And he's like a pedigree talent.
Mm-hmm.
You have Joe Flacco step in for you and get rid of the ball under 2 seconds, time and time again. And the Steelers could not get to him. They finally sacked him in the 4th quarter. Is that Joe Burrow holding on to the ball? Or is that them scheming for Joe Flacco saying, you can't hold on to the ball like Joe Burrow? So you got to is it coaching? Is it the player? Why are we seeing Joe Flacco go back there and look untouchable, but we see Joe Burrow, who's the most sacked quarterback, like one of them in history?
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no coincidence that Tom Brady had they say one of the greatest offensive lines for 20 years. Troy Aikman was known to have the greatest offensive line. It's not a coincidence that great quarterbacks have great offensive lines. Why? Because the quarterback makes the offensive line. Joe Burrow, what you're saying, and I agree, holds on to the ball too long. And that's why he's always the leader in sacks every year, right? He 100%. Doesn't get rid of the ball.
Cam
he likes to,
who is awful.
Yep. He likes to look downfield. I take your big plays, but as a quarterback, you have to take what they give you, and you just can't take what you want all the time, right? So I agree. Flacco came in. I was shocked. I thought the Steelers would win this game, but a lot of experts, I didn't know if they'd cover, but I thought that the Steelers, this is our chance against an old backup quarterback.
They could have buried them. And I know our producer, Rob, is on the other side of the black screen, bro. I fucking told you, pardon the French, that this was trouble for you. You guys could have mopped up the Bengals, won the division on that game.
You would have won the division,
instead, it's a whole muck. It's a whole mess. And now you gave the Bengals life. You now have a resurgence with Jamar Chase, who was 16 targets, balled out. T. Higgins making an appearance, who I did not start, but I will be starting for the rest of the year. And then you have Chase Brown, only in 11 touches, runs 100 yards. He had a 37-yard scamper against the Steelers. So all of a sudden, your offensive line, who was everyone was saying was dog shit, you now have this great offensive line who's giving Chase Brown space all over the place, who's giving Flacco time and giving the receivers enough time to go down the field. I don't know. It's kind of weird how
Johnny T says
things can be. And the Bengals are right back in it. They play the Jets this week. So now you're talking about a Bengals team that could easily be 4-4, and they get a mini bye. They played a Thursday game. You get 10 days to prep for the Jets, who are like Aaron Glenn's deciding, who am I starting? Tyrod Taylor? Justin Fields. I guess we give it to Justin Fields. Tyrod Taylor threw 2 interceptions. Justin Fields hasn't thrown an interception yet. Is that good? Is that bad? Is he too scared? Why are we running Justin Fields up the field? They don't know what they're doing and how they're going to even approach the Bengals. So I really like the Bengals going forward. And I'm taking the Bengals in Survivor, Johnny T. Bengals in Survivor this week on the 2.
Who they play?
The Jets.
Who they play? Jets are falling apart.
Bengals home against the Jets.
Yeah, Johnny T says Flacco said he was winging it. He probably was, because obviously you're only on the game. You're only on the field. You're only with the team for a week.
You chose the Steelers, Johnny T. No, they knocked me out many other years.
I'm surprised he would do that. Thursday on the road. That's like a big.
Johnny T. I told you they were going to lose. I love you, bro.
But that's to me, don't ever, if you're going to pick a Thursday game, I get that. We do that. But don't pick a Thursday game on the road. But I guarantee I knew what he was thinking, that their Steelers can win the division with this game. And
hold on, what's producer? Steelers defensive schemes are awful. The lack of production when you have all that talent is astounding. Yes.
No, yeah.
We did hear that the Steelers actually returned the same defense and added pieces. So I don't know what happened either. You know what I mean? Like
I was very high on the Steelers. I was very high on the Steelers going into this year.
Is scratching his head. What the fuck?
I think he's a little concerned, right? And he's probably wondering, why the hell can't we stop anybody with these guys? And I'll tell you what, right now, if you could go back and rewind, there's no way you're paying Watt $40 million a year when you can't stop a 40-year-old backup quarterback that's been with the team for a week on a Thursday night game in a win situation that gives you a division.
How much that sack was worth, that fourth quarter sack? How much is that sack worth? Is it like, what is it, 80,000 a sack?
Yeah. And this is the problem too, right? Is they got rid of Pickens, which we all questioned because we were like, wait a minute. If you're putting all your eggs into the basket for this year and you're giving it a true shot because you feel like with the NFL, with parity, we can go get Steeler Nation a Super Bowl ring, right? Why get rid of Pickens when you know you're not going to be able to re-sign him next year? I think he pretty much said that. That's why they got rid of him. And that's why the Cowboys got him so cheap. And Jerry Jones was thinking, hey, we'll take him and we'll try to convince him to stay. And then Jerry Jones taps Dak and goes, hey, throw Pickens the ball. We want him to be here. Now Pickens is happy. But if you're a Steelers, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Why get rid of an amazing – and remember I told you after the Monday Night Football game, and I'm like, wow, watching Pickens, when you're on the field, you're like when your feet are on the turf and you're standing right behind the Monday Night Football guys and you're watching Pickens, he looks different on the field. It looks different. He is special. Our buddy Jeff Schneider used to say, he's kind of slow, this, that. He is not. He is a premium athlete. It is 1A and 1B with CeeDee Lamb there. And now the Steelers, I think the Steelers were thinking, hey, we're never going to be an offensive juggernaut. Let's pay this defense and let Aaron Rodgers manage the game. Now Rodgers, I think he's had 2 games this year where he's throwing 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he's having to go out there and win the game, right? Yeah. And Rodgers played incredible, made some great throws.
That dart that he threw to Freiermuth past the 2 defenders, the way he dodged the sack, he skips left and then loads up to the right and just ropes it. And it was off his back foot. You could see the way he just
incredible throw
and the velocity on the ball. You could tell just caught everybody off guard. Even Freiermuth was like, oh God. All right. And it just
because the defenders went like this. And then also our producer Rob
just missing the ball.
Yeah. Our producer Rob posted that stat that Aaron Rodgers threw the furthest football that someone's thrown in the air since X. And it was like Rodgers did it at his age. So now we know Rodgers still has the arm talent he did 10 to 15 years ago. If I was to tell you that, if they put him in a vacuum and they said he still has the same arm talent, every team would be knocking down the door to go get him. And the Steelers, kudos to them, got him for what, 10 to 12 million for this year? I mean, something crazy. I just think now the Steelers, 70 yards in the air, longest since 2018. Thank you, Johnny. I think that's incredible for his age, just to say he still has that.
And the way he came off, it wasn't like he reared back and took a crow hop, dude. That was all adrenaline, all talent, bro. It was wild.
And the Ravens, I'm telling you right now, I know I'm stating the obvious here. They're coming roaring back.
You think they're going to be dominate the Bears?
I mean, I don't know because the Bears look good, but Lamar Jackson,
shitty offense or defense, right? And the Bears have
is Lamar Jackson coming back this week?
That's the word in the street.
That's what they say. When Lamar Jackson comes back, I feel bad for any team that has to play them. There's not going to be an easy win. And I can easily, not knowing their schedule, we'll look at their schedule. Actually, I'll pull it up now.
I know Johnny T was talking about Survivor, saying be careful about the Bengals. Jets have a good defense. You're right, but I like them on a short week, and I like them, or not. They're not on a short week. The Bengals are on a longer week, but I do like the fact that they don't really have an offense.
Let me tell you.
And then you have another pick right here you're talking about. This is another good pick for Survivor, what you're getting into right now. The Ravens against the Bears. I know that's a popular one. I think this is going to be this week.
Yeah, let me tell you the Ravens' next 5 games. At home versus the Bears. Then they play the Dolphins on the road. Then they got to go to Minnesota, which could be a tough game. Then they're playing the Browns. Then they play at home versus the Jets. Then they play at home versus the Bengals. They can literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 3. Those are 3 of those wins should be real easy. Jets, Dolphins. I'm going to say the Bengals too. Easy win at home. They can win. I would not be shocked the Ravens rip off 6 in a row. Maybe 5 and 1.
Whenever you look at the division odds, of the AFC North, they're still just barely being outprojected by the Steelers to win that division, and they only have so few wins. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's what we've been talking about.
Oh,
they're
well, no,
still
it was crazy. It was 2 weeks ago, but
favored to almost win that division, even though Lamar's not playing and he's on his way back.
Steelers had the chance to close that door, and they didn't. And it truly shows you, because that was a Thursday night game. I mean, if your defense is ever going to bear down, it's going to be against a 40-year-old backup quarterback that couldn't beat out Dillon Gabriel. I mean, he beat him out, but he got benched for Dillon Gabriel. And, it's crazy to think.
Johnny T, the more I think about it, the Jets don't have the greatest secondary. Everybody throws all over them. Bengals are going to light them up, dude. I'm convinced. Well, I guess we'll see on the other. All right, so moving forward, obviously that game was incredible. You come up with any other points, let me know. That was all I had on that one. We did have the Cowboys and Commanders. We kind of alluded to it a little bit. CeeDee Lamb was back in this game, caught a 74-yard bomb. Pickens was doing his thing. Fergie had a couple of touchdowns. Cowboys offense explodes. Jaden Daniels was shorthanded. There was no Debo. There's no McLaurin. Krosky Merritt. People keep talking about Bill, and everybody should be dialing in against my Cowboys. We do not have one of the greatest defenses. And the fact that we held them to 22 points is not a good look for the Commanders. And I know that they're shorthanded, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you see what Bryce Young did to us. You see what all these other teams do. I mean, there should be no excuses. You should be able to light up the Cowboys, and they did not. I think that the Commanders are definitely waiting to get healthy. They don't have, the team that they thought. Their defense is not as good, and their offense is not keeping up. Jaden Daniels is having that regression year. I mean, he hasn't really popped yet. You know what I mean? And
he's been hurt, and he hasn't looked amazing. And I actually noticed against the Cowboys, there was this one play where it was a big play in the red zone. And I remember against the Bucs in the playoffs, how he those couple inches, he always was making the play. And I'm like, man, can you live like that by always just beating a defender by this much? And your Cowboys linebacker chased him down like he was standing still, spinned him down like he was around.
Right.
Jaden Daniels, he's going to be good because he doesn't only rely on his legs. And I love how fast he gets the ball out. Sure. He's not one of those guys. He's not a one-trick pony, but
he needs all his weapons around him, dude. He needs to have his weapons. He needs to have Debo. He needs to have Ertz. He needs to have no more Eckler, but they got Bill. Like, he needs everything around him to make him that RPO a threat,
Now, Johnny T, I don't think he's an RG3 part 2 because he just does everything well. And he literally did not have his top 2 weapons on him, right? So that's real tough. But I will say this about Krosky Merritt for your fantasy owners. I would be scared because when I watched the games, this was the first time, I admit right now, the first time I watched every play of every game. I finally figured out how to use the NFL.com app, thanks to my buddy Mike Collum, and I went through and just watched every snap. When I'm watching it, Krosky Merritt is not the best running back in the backfield. And it's a committee. But I think McNichols, or whatever that guy's name is,
Jeremy
he looks better, faster, stronger. And then Rodriguez also
I was going to say Rodriguez is like my play, I think, out of that backfield.
When Debo Samuel comes back, I'm just saying, if I'm a Krosky Merritt owner where a couple weeks ago it looked like you pencil him in as a starter every week, that is just not the case now.
It's not quite build time yet. But yeah, Cowboys handle business. We even our record. We get a game against the Cardinals next week, I believe. Obviously, we'll be playing Jacoby Brissett because Kyler Murray's a bum. Is what it is. You can see over.
Arizona had Green Bay beat that whole game, and Green Bay came back late. We'll talk about that game in a minute. Let's talk about let's summarize Survivor. We won't talk about next week picks. We'll do that on Thursday, right? Yep. But let's break down the percentages and stuff like that. Almost half of the pool picked the Chiefs at home.
I had Chiefs on one of my picks, and they represented. We knew the Rashee Rice avalanche was going to come back. The way he forced the ball to him, the way that he looked, they just dominated the Raiders. And bro, the Raiders looked awful in that game. Like,
Raiders looked really bad.
Did you know that the Raiders had 30 offensive plays? 30, TJ. When you went through and watched every play of every game, you only saw the Raiders 30 times on offense. And that is one of the worst performances in NFL history. let alone just a
I know.
Sunday game.
And that was one of my lead pipe locks, and it was nothing to do with Geno Smith. It was over 201.5 yards. I had the Travis Hunter play, and I had Geno Smith.
Yeah, the Travis Hunter play just so good.
He tripled his yardage, right? And then the Geno Smith divided the yardage by 3, so it's kind of crazy, right? But I literally just said, the reason why I love that play had nothing to do with Geno Smith, had nothing to do with Bowers and Myers being hurt, which dropped that yardage by like 25 yards, which I thought there was value there. It was that I told my dad, Geno Smith's going to be down 2 possessions all game. All game. They're going to get blown out. So if Geno Smith is at 100 yards at half, I'm turning off the game because I know I already won.
Right.
The problem is he was at 30 yards at half. And like what you said, the time of possession, Chiefs are just not a team that are they're one of those elite teams. Like, you know how the Giants were up 3 possessions, they couldn't put them away.
Yeah.
We're where the Chiefs were 6-7 years ago, where they had Mahomes. You know what I mean? And Mahomes was growing and kind of getting there. I'm not saying Dart's as good as Mahomes, but like, Giants are going to learn how to win. The Chiefs know how to win. And when they're up a couple possessions, and they're at home, they're going to step on your neck and just end the game. And that's what they did. It was a master class of time management. They were literally, it looked like they were purposely getting 4 yards on
7 touches, Destino. It's a travesty to have such a talented dude touch the ball only 7 times. But literally, it's like TJ said, the time of possession was so skewed. We were like almost at halftime, and the Raiders had like 10 offensive snaps, and the Chiefs had like 20 first downs. It was a beating. I mean, in all senses of the word, beating. It was awful.
Geno Smith looked horrible. Yeah, Kenny Pickett's coming in, and it would be I think Bowers is coming back now. Myers will be back.
Sure.
Put in Pickett. They're horrible. But look, the Giants could be just like the Raiders, bro. The Raiders are freaking lost, right?
Right.
They're lost. I mean, they're absolutely lost. And why are they lost? Because they don't have a quarterback.
Right.
And I'm just happy we're not the Raiders. And not like you want to compare yourself to some of the worst teams in the league, but the Giants at least have a direction now.
Bro, I will say,
Geno Smith and Marvel.
I was surprised to see somebody took the Panthers. A couple people took the Seahawks. 3 took the Packers. The Steelers, sorry, Johnny, 4 people got knocked out. The Bears Larger was on the Bears play. The Bears were in a little bit of a game early, and then they kind of just, finished it out. That was an interesting game too. So in that game, we saw the running game really bear down, right? You saw DeAndre Swift, and we saw Montague. Montague looks amazing. He looks like he kind of looks like you remember Marion the Barbarian? You remember Marion Barber? He kind of looks like a Marion Barber when he runs. It's like got this violent finish. He loves making contact. He meets the tackle and loves to run his legs forward. I think they got a real talented duo backfield back there. And I think that's why Caleb's stat line was so abysmal. If you noticed Caleb Williams' stat line, he had like 4 or 5 fantasy points, dude. Talking about a starting quarterback. Like, they won. The Raiders got blown out. And Geno Smith and Caleb Williams' stat line was not that far off. It's kind of bad, right?
Yeah, Swift looks so good. And Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams look like they're starting to get kind of connected. Yeah, I mean, Bears are one of those teams this year. They've won a lot of those really close, kind of not fluky games,
Cowboys, but they whooped our ass.
Yeah, but the NFL is all about, when if you think you're close to that playoff push, you got to win those close games. And it looks like the Bears are kind of having that mentality where they're learning how to win, right?
Well,
learning how to close out games.
They're trusting their offensive line. They got Thuney. They got all these other guys that everyone's been talking about. So, like, stop trying to just protect Caleb and make Caleb make all these decisions. Run the ball and let Caleb play complementary football. And I think he's going to be a better quarterback. And I think they were trying to do that this game. And there was a couple of just miscommunications, poor passes, whatever. But I think that it was still a step in the right direction for the Bears because you need to be playing Caleb off of the run and not the other way around.
Oh, no, I know.
When you have Montague,
when you
have Swift, I think that's going to just open things up for them later and really kind of be able to build on their strength, which is the offensive line, man. Run the freaking ball. Like, just run the ball. And I have DeAndre Swift in one league, and I think he could just be so good if they could just literally commit to giving him 15 to 20 touches a game.
Well, everyone thinks Ben Johnson is like this offensive passing genius, but Ben Johnson loves to run the ball. And he's obviously a really creative play caller, and his run calls are creative. That's why Gibbs and Montgomery were so good last year.
DeAndre Swift is your Gibbs, Monaguy's your Montgomery, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think that it's not a coincidence that Ben Johnson always has good offensive lines too, right? Just like it's not a coincidence that Joe Burrow, coach, quarterback, same thing. Why do some quarterbacks? Yeah, right. Yeah. How do you explain that? Why is Aaron Rodgers has put like 12 offensive linemen into the Hall of Fame? Why is that? Because the guy knows how to play his offensive line, right? And whatever. But I think that the Bears are trending up. Why did we talk about the Bears? Oh, yeah, because we're talking about Survivor. So the Chiefs, Bears, Patriots, and the Broncos. Broncos would have knocked out 10% of the pool. You would have been one of them. Wait, so you have two. So you have two entries.
Going.
They're still in. Yeah, only 4% of there's 100 people left. 97. So we're down to half, a little over half. 96% of the pool advanced.
Right.
It would have been 80. It would have been 82% advance if the Giants would have closed the door.
Right.
But I will say this: I am starting to learn more about Survivor as the years go on, and I am really just trying to stick with home teams. And I'm trying not to go on the road.
It was the spot to take the Browns this week.
Yeah, you talked about it. You talked about it.
I kicked myself for not taking the Raiders the other week. You could have the Browns and the Raiders like picked and checked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and those are like games that maybe the Browns you could trust later because they do have that defense in a home position. I just feel like the Raiders are so gone. If you missed out on the Raiders, then you missed out on them because that was their one game against the Titans. And obviously, we'll preview some of these other picks as we go on to next week. So with that being said, as we go right down the docket, we had that London game. Matthew Stafford dimes out 5 tutties.
Yeah.
When you watch that game, you saw the Rams out front early. They held it down. Trevor does nothing. Etienne does nothing. And then they kind of find some momentum late, and they finally are starting to play Travis Hunter as an offensive piece. I saw he had 25 offensive snaps, 0 offensive snaps going on. He didn't have a lot of traction, and then it just kind of clicked, and Trevor started connecting, and it looked just like the commercial. They're flipping their hair together. They're doing backflips. They have the handshake going, and then all of a sudden you see Travis Hunter bust a big line. Best one of the year, over 100 yards. I think with the targets, I think it was like 12 or 14 targets, whatever. He's heavily targeted. And I think it shows you BTJ has kind of lost that spot. And we talked about this. One of the things we picked right early on when we were talking about teams and draft picks for BTJ and where he would go. And I said I was off on BTJ just because you get Travis Hunter, who seemed like he was going to get an equal share of the offense for cheaper. And it didn't look good early. But here we are. BTJ still hasn't shined. And Sean Munson thinks he's a league winner, and Travis Hunter just comes in and starts to dominate. And they were lining up all over the place. He was in the slot. He was outside. He was the X. He was the Y. It didn't matter, and they were targeting him heavily, right? So I think that going forward, maybe do you think it was a game script, or do you think this is something honestly, they're going to try to do going forward?
I can be honest with you. I had the Travis Hunter over, and the only reason why is because they said that it was, first of all, it was 39.5 yards, and Cohen came out and Cohen publicly said, we're going to do more first read plays for Travis Hunter. But I can be honest with you, he had 0. I think he had 1 target, 0. He had 0 catches in the first half. I know. And the only reason why he blew up is because they were down by 4 touchdowns and Rams were playing so soft. I don't know if Hunter can get open against man coverage. Hunter looks a little light and not strong, super quick. But, I know that London ground was kind of wet. So, but I think that Jacksonville, unfortunately, kind of showed us who they still are. And look, Trevor Lawrence.
Is Travis Hunter built like Jarvis Landry a little bit?
No, Landry was a lot thicker.
He's not as thick, but he's about the same height.
I don't even know how you could really explain Travis Hunter.
He just looks real twitchy. He's not an AB, right? He's not quite Antonio Brown. He looks tall.
No way. He's not strong enough. I see Travis Hunter. He had a little, I think it was a run play. And he can't shred arm tackles. He doesn't. I saw
him come up the left side, and he didn't get tackled. He took the contact, so he looks like he could stay on his feet. But
I think he's the guy you want. He's a deep threat, and maybe a guy that you throw a screen pass. But I don't think he's like that tough slot guy that you can always put him in the slot. I do think that Trevor Lawrence, with all the physical tools, mentally, he does not grasp the game. He just doesn't grasp it. Now, he's so physically gifted, and he's so physically gifted, and he's so tough, and he's a great guy, right? So he could be a quarterback in the NFL forever because players will play for him. They'll be great. But I do not think that Trevor Lawrence mentally really grasps it yet. That could change. He's young. But I see some of that kind of lost puppy dog look sometimes when he gets hurt. So I think that's enough to say. But the Rams dominated. Jaguars, I think, took a big step back, getting your doors blown off like that and just getting locked up on every possession in the first half. That was pretty embarrassing.
Quick little side note while we're doing this, the honeypot's going off. I just want to let you know your name of mention there. Don't you love it when they're just lighting you up? Yeah, man. So that covers that. Moving on, next games. We talked. Do you want to talk about the Dolphins Browns and just the shellacking?
Well, yeah. I mean, we talked about it a little bit already. Like McDaniels just seems like he's not leading that team.
Judkins.
Yeah. Shocker. I know. I drafted him in the 9th round, and everyone said I drafted him too early. I mean, I've got guys like Sean Munson saying your team sucks. I outscored you by 120, and then I have Jeff on a podcast saying my team is ass. And I mean, this guy hasn't. Yeah, it's just I feel, it's just one of those things. But
he finished off his really bad week with that ass beat.
And out of respect, Tyson was kind of like, this team's not. He's got like Jahmyr Gibbs, like he's got like, and I like kind of getting a little bit of props from like the league champion from last year.
Well, don't you love the way Tyson drafts a good team every year? It's just his players always get hurt is like his problem. I love how he says,
Dustino, you're right. No, Dustino, I mean, I don't like to say I beat Jeff by point. It wasn't 0.5, Dustino. It was 0.05.
0.05. Yeah, it was a half a yard, buddy.
Yeah, 0.05.
There he is.
It was so funny. I was talking to my buddy, and he goes, because he was listening to the Uninformed Fan too, and he's like, "Man, he calls your team ass." And I'm like, "I know. I just beat the shit out of Jeff 2 weeks ago." And he goes, "You beat the shit out of him?" I go, "I beat the shit out of him. The details aren't important. The details aren't important." Jesus, sure. I can't even talk. But yeah, but no, it's so funny, right? Like now that we have Jeff and Tyson on, like and watching, I've talked about this before, but me and my wife fight less when I have a win in the big league. The other leagues, they're fun and it's cool, but I get better tips at work after a week where I win in the big league.
The Schneider household's right up the street. How do you think it's going over there this week? It's kind of tough.
I know. I wake up earlier and like my coffee is hotter when I win in the big league. Yeah. And like the money's good and it's like the biggest buy-in for me, but the money's like whatever. It's like, everyone knows, we all have that one. If you play fantasy football, you all have that one league. It just matters more than others, and it's just one of those things where it feels good to win in the big league. And yeah, I know, Johnny T, right? And you know what's so gross about what you just said, Johnny T? Guess what? But Buff, guess what? Sean Munson tried to trade me Brian Thomas Jr. last night. Yeah. He goes, "I'll give you Brian Thomas Jr. and Kyron back." I go, Thomas Jr. might be out 4 to 6 weeks. He might not be, but he might be. You think I'm going to execute a trade with a guy that I gave away? And I mean, not gave away, but I traded him away. And I got criticized for that too, by the way, for Cam Scatterboo. I'm an idiot. How could I trade my 2nd round pick for Cam Scatterboo when I admitted that Cam Scatterboo before the season wasn't going to be the guy? I'm okay to admit when I'm wrong and try to adjust, right? Anyways, we're going off a little bit, but
I think the Hampton bet that you have too. I think you're starting to see Pacheco's
starting to go up a little bit, right? Yeah,
he's itching up.
But yeah, Jeff says kids didn't go to school today. Divorce papers are getting signed, and poor Jeff, right? It was like the quadruple whammy. He loses in fantasy. FSU gets curb stomped by Stanford. The Bucs
early in the morning too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. The Bucs lose, and trust me, I'm not trying to beat up on the guy because I feel for him. But you call my team ass, I'm going to come at you a little bit. But yeah, I know It's like, and it's funny though, dude. Like how sports, you start reflecting back. When I lose, I don't reflect back. Life sucks. But when I had a good week, I'm like, man, life is good. Sports shouldn't be so serious. Yeah, it's like life is funny, man.
All right, moving on. We got the Patriots and Titans. This game was a little bit closer early, and then Drake May was absolutely balling, and he had like 21 fantasy points in the first half. And Ramondre Stevenson is still the thing. Everybody was on the TreVeyon Henderson train this week.
Yeah,
the Titans are giving 5 yards a clip. It's got to be TreVeyon's week. No, it's not, sir. It is Ramondre Stevenson's backfield until further notice, and I am sold on that. If this is the one game that they would have launched TreVeyon forward, right? No.
Yeah. And you know what?
Ramondre got the late touchdown. You did have a signing. I don't know. Is his name Dyke or is it DK? But it's like DIKE. He's the receiver because Ridley's out for Tennessee, and that's who Ward was focusing on. But Cam Ward, as I mentioned earlier, is the #1 sack quarterback in the league. The guy is just taking shots. He's landing on grenades. Titans aren't doing him any favors by running the ball. They can't run the ball. It's just a mess down there, and I think they're going to be a top draft pick again, and they'll be helping Cam Ward building somehow.
I was hard on you because you picked Ramondre over Jordan Mason. I thought you were dead wrong. And if Mason doesn't get, Mason, that situation's been a little weird. He got hurt too, right? But Ramondre, that's his backfield. Ramondre, that's his backfield. He looks great. TreVeyon will.
Ramondre and Jordan Mason isn't as bad as I thought early. It's getting there.
No, it's not as bad. Yeah, Ramondre is a guy I watched. I mean, obviously, I saw every game, but Ramondre, that's his backfield. He looks great. And Vrabel obviously has given him DK out of UF. I'm assuming out of Florida means from University of Florida. Yeah, I mean that not a bad waiver wire pickup. And Ridley can't get open against #1 corners, so DK could be.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, DK could be one of those guys because they're going to be playing from behind. Ridley cannot get open. Which, I mean, everybody was high on Ridley. We were on this show high on Ridley. But back to the Patriots. Yeah, Ramondre, that's his backfield. Drake May looks amazing. I never thought the Patriots would be up. So he went to University of Florida. I never thought the Patriots would be this good this early. Drake May throws an amazing deep ball. And Drake May is setting records, like all these quiet records. But I think his completion percentage was 91% last game. It's the first quarterback, second-year quarterback to win 4 games in a row on the road. There's all these crazy stats where Drake May just looks like, hey.
Drake May is him, bro. I'm telling you.
All you want to say is, as a team, like if you're a Bears fan, if you're Tyson, Caleb Williams will be our quarterback barring, injury for the next 10 to 15 years. Do you believe that? I think the Bears fans do. As a Patriot, there is no doubt Drake May will be your quarterback and will be a really good quarterback in the NFL for a long time, right? That's all you want to say about your team.
He's fast too, man. Anytime he wants to get by a linebacker or an end, he just scrambles right by, and it doesn't even look like they have a chance. He just skips right on by, dude.
He's a great athlete. He throws a great deep ball. I mean, hey, the Patriots are hot right now. Isn't it funny though, like how Vrabel was like a consultant for the Browns last year, and they just kind of let him go? Right? Because Vrabel, because he wasn't a coach last year. And he was a coach 2 years ago, right? Vrabel got fired 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's and the Titans, I think, fired him, right? I think the Titans fired Vrabel. And now the Browns just let him go. And now he literally turned the Patriots around like that, right? Because that roster, I think, is pretty similar than last year. They got Diggs, which how did Diggs do? I didn't hear his name.
He had some catches late.
Yeah. He had 7 catches for 69 yards. But Vrabel is just one of those guys that you want leading your team, right? I just want Vrabel. I want Vrabel on that sideline. The way his body posture is, the way he handles adversity, the way he talks to his players. They got in a little fight at halftime, right? His players with the Titans players. And Vrabel just kind of stepped in, grabbed his guys and left. He could have chewed out his players. He didn't, right? Because you got to, leading men is psychological warfare, right? And everything matters. And I feel like Vrabel's one of those guys that he always makes the right move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the little thing. I'm not talking about play calling. I'm not talking about anything about that.
You know what I think
about
Vrabel?
How you talk to men. It's how you talk to men, how you lead men. And there are some people that could do it better than others. And Vrabel is a great leader of men.
Vrabel has that energy. He's a little bit, I feel like he's more soft spoken than like Dan Campbell. He's not like his hair's on fire. He's all up in your face.
And there's different ways
you
to the
just
finish
don't
line.
want to disappoint Vrabel. I feel like when you let him down, he just gives you that look. He doesn't need to say anything, and you just feel awful because he's always putting his guys in the right position. And what I love about him, he doesn't overcomplicate football. There's this basic recipe, and he follows it to the T. He puts the right players in the right position, aces in places kind of thing, and then he runs the shit out of the ball. He builds the trenches, and then he, has a good quarterback who makes good decisions. And like Kayshon Boutte isn't like the best receiver. And they do have Hooper, and they got Henry, and they got tight ends. They got Diggs, but it's not like it's the most talented receiver.
They got good weapons, not amazing weapons.
Right, they got running backs, and they don't even need to use TreVeyon Henderson because they're still happy with Ramondre. It's just crazy, bro. They just play this simple,
I can be honest with you,
clean brand of football.
Yeah, over the years, I used to say, I want an offensive genius as my head coach, right? I want my head coach to be ahead of the curve and be the smartest guy in the field. Now it's literally like the opposite. I don't care if you know how to call plays. You get an offensive coordinator for that. But it's how you lead, how you talk to your guys, how you handle yourself on the sidelines, all this kind of stuff. All that stuff matters, right?
And then here we go.
The camera's always on you, and it's one of those things.
I was just going to say, here we go. The Patriots was one of the easier schedules for the rest of the year. So the Patriots are just set to over-exceed every expectation.
Yeah, and like what Jeff and Tommy Steamers say really quick, he's a coach you bet on, right? That's one of those guys if you're down going into Sunday night and you need to find yourself a winner, and Vrabel's on the sidelines, and you're like he did 2 weeks ago, and he's going against the Bills and Josh Allen, the Patriots don't have a chance, and the Bills are going to blow him out. That's one of the guys you bet on, right? Vrabel's one of those guys that you put your money on.
Somebody who you don't bet on is either the Panthers or the Jets. Obviously, that game we saw Justin Fields gets benched. Everybody says R.I.P. Fields. I told you Aaron Glenn has a sticky decision. It's kind of weird. I know this is Aaron Glenn's first head coaching gig, but it was just disclosed that he's actually consulting other head coaches on how to handle his quarterback situation. That's fucking asinine. If you're asking other people how to handle your quarterback situation, and that just
he's asking questions. Yeah, I mean
that leaks out, and like I get you're trying to like make the right decisions, and it shows that you're not, I guess, too prideful to make a wrong choice, and you're trying to get better information than what you have. I just think it shows weakness. It shows.
I tell you what, whoever leaked that out is a snitch bitch, though, right?
Oh, 100%. And
how do you throw Aaron Glenn under the bus?
I don't even like Aaron Glenn in his own coaching abilities.
Yeah,
because he can't figure out who to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's so stupid because Justin Fields is clearly the more talented individual physically, and I feel like it's like Tyson said on the Uninformed Fan a few episodes ago. It's like somebody said, Justin Fields, we're going to make you a quarterback this year, and you're just going to stand in the pocket and just wait until somebody gets open. You don't have a bunch of guys that can go get open. So as soon as he sees that the reads break down and he has this moment to run, he just doesn't. And everybody's seeing it. It's all over film. You could just watch him, and he just doesn't move out of the pocket like we know he can, like he should. And I feel it's like it's hampering him. Why are you going to build an offense around Justin Fields and then have it be opposite of what he's good at?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. The Jets are a disaster.
It's a disaster.
I know that Aaron Rodgers
is a Bucs fan now. They're so fucking bad.
Yeah, I know that Aaron Rodgers is just laughing all the way to the bank, right? Just because they didn't want him back. And you kind of felt like with that roster, Rodgers could have really helped that team with, they have weapons for sure. Now Garrett Wilson's getting hurt.
Agreed, Jeff.
And all that kind of stuff. Yeah, pay them both. I always wonder why more teams don't do that. When you know you got your guy,
just do it.
The chips in the middle table and just do it.
Save a few mil.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on from that, the Saints Bears. We talked about that, a little bit. I know we talked about
it. Spencer Rattler sucks.
Thank you, Anastasia. I appreciate you watching, boo.
Thank you, Anastasia. Spencer Rattler sucks. Swift looked great. Caleb Williams is really moving that ball around now. Odunze has fell off fantasy-wise.
DJ in that Saints game, they did lose Kendre Miller for the year, torn ACL. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but there's a couple of pickups out there. We did mention, of course, DK from the Titans if you're really desperate at receiver. There's also Devin Neal for the Saints. He's going to be the starting running back. Alvin Kamara needs oil to get his limbs moving. He looks stiff. He's not doing anything in that backfield. They're obviously not trading him. The whole Kamara thing looks like it just doesn't smell good anymore. Like he's kind of past his prime.
Johnny T has a fantasy question really quick, though. Quarterback replacement. Rodgers at Green Bay?
Flacco at Jets.
Flacco.
Dart at Philly.
Or Dart. Yeah, I mean, you got to go Dart because Dart runs the ball so much. Yeah. I mean, 1 for every 10 yards. I'm so thankful I have him on my bench. I literally picked him up, I think, a week against Jeff maybe or somebody. I was just trying to kind of block him. Did you get somebody that I thought maybe they would get?
Right.
Because at that time, Dart had like 1 good game, 1 bad game.
Right. But
Dart looks like he's going to
be a potential start for you going forward, depending on if Nix has a bad matchup for sure.
Yeah. Now, Bo Nix is playing the Cowboys this week with Cortland Sutton. And I'm going to play Evan Ingram and Gibbs on a bye week.
Well, no, we get the Cardinals this week. Cowboys get the Cardinals.
I don't think so.
No, we get the Broncos?
I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Because I was looking at it like, oh, thank God.
I got Cowboys. No, you're right. Yeah, it's Cowboys at Broncos.
Yeah, and I just was like, that game could be a 50-50 game, hopefully, And Bo Nix, who hasn't looked great, he had 1 good quarter.
No, but I'm hoping that. And then we're on a bye, and then we come back and play the Cardinals. Is what it is Monday night. Got it.
Yeah, Tyson, Caleb didn't look good, and I agree. There were times, but the defense isn't terrible for the Saints. And also, I truly think Caleb Williams was managing that game, kind of what Rodgers does a lot. Like Caleb Williams was not going to make those big mistakes because you just knew who you're playing against. You're playing against Spencer Rattler, the worst quarterback in the NFL next to Tua, maybe. And Dylan Gabriel, I don't know, maybe somebody else. But I think that Caleb was just like, hey, I'm not going to take any chances here. I'm not going to go and risk it for the biscuit because, we're going to win. And they were winning by 2 possessions. I know Tyson's really trying to get Tyler Warren for me, by the way. I just don't know how I give him up. Like, that offense is so good, and it's so nice getting 15 points a week from my tight end. And honestly, I know that
TJ, right now is the time that we're being exposed on which teams have depth and a deep bench and which teams don't. And people without the bench are reaching out to people with excess talent per se on your roster. So you're going to get a lot of calls if you got a deep bench, right? And that's one of them. You got tight ends.
Tyler Warren is really good. And we said earlier in the season, don't draft a tight end but now it's so important, I think, to get points from your tight end. I go everywhere. I'm like in full circle. I'm like
all the best tight ends you could have took late. There's no need to go draft one early.
You're right. Don't go get Brock Bowers early, but I just feel like I'm a walking hypocrite when it comes to fantasy advice. But I'm giving him too much credit. Okay, Tyson, I'll tell you this. The number 1 waiver wire pickup is a tight end this week. Do you know who it is, Buff?
Yeah,
I think he's a number 1.
His name is Oronde Gadsden from the Chargers. He's had 20 targets the last 2 games. Absolutely.
And he had targets early in the season, too. And it looks like the Chargers are going to throw the ball. And Hampton, I still think, is 2 weeks back. But, Jesus, is Jeff mad that I'm giving that out?
They were down but his game script. But you did have QJ back. Quentin Johnston's back. McConkey was involved. Quentin Johnston had a touchdown. Keenan Allen went bonkers, right? And it's because of the script. But you do have our guy, this tight end, Gadsden, who's like showing up out of nowhere. 20
Have you watched him too? Yeah. I mean, he looks like his father.
Real strong hands.
Yeah. Looks like his father. I don't know if you know this. I know you don't know this, and I guarantee none of our listeners know this. But Oronde Gadsden was one of the top.
The second.
No, but Oronde Gadsden, the first, was one of the greatest Madden receivers of all time. Did you know that?
I didn't know. Yeah,
Gadsden was amazing. McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's dad, another top 10 receiver of all time in Madden.
Right.
Because it was a way their settings were set. It was like where it was the perfect storm where they can never get past the corner. And if they were ever single or double covered, you could just throw the jump ball. And it was like you could be a 6-year-old and know how to handle the controls to make the jump ball catch. Oronde Gadsden, Ed McCaffrey, some of the best Madden wide receivers of all time. Kind of random. But
well, here we go. Gadsden, he's going to be like the future breakout. He's on wires all over the leagues. I think people are definitely going to be going for him. I told you about Devin Neal. These are just some guys that can go and make it. We're halfway through right now. This is a big time to sit there and reload, get ready for buying the Gadsden.
I tell you what,
just talking about. It's massive.
I gave up on the waiver wire kind of like this year when it comes to
listeners. Like he doesn't know who you're talking.
I gave up. Yeah, Jeff might be one that knows. I gave up on my waiver wire priority this year, and I was like, I'm just going to get the guys that I want to get. But I think that
if you got in on Gadsden last week, if you got in on Gadsden last week,
if you have the number one waiver wire pickup, you could. Like, if I had the number one waiver wire pickup, I could. No disrespect to Tyson, fleece Tyson, right? Give him Tyler Warren, and I would be happy to have Gadsden as my starting tight end going forward. I'm not saying he's going to outproduce Warren, but if you look at his targets, it's not just the last 2 games. He had another huge.
He had one like week 2 or something. It was like week 2 or 3. He had one more big game.
Yeah, he's just the number one tight end in an offense that seems like Herbert's going to be dropping back a lot. I never thought I'd say that Herbert's going to throw for 430 yards versus the Colts defense, but that's what he did, and he will not be on the waiver wire after this week, I'll tell you that.
No, he definitely will not, dude. He's going to be gone in all the leagues. Of course, you had the Packers at Cardinals. Micah Parsons had 3 sacks. Cardinals had him beat. Jacoby Brissett was doing his thing. What happened? Why couldn't the
Parsons might be the best defensive player in the NFL, by the way.
Tyson hates this, by the way. He hates the way that people crown him, the way people talk him. He calls it dick riding. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm a big fan of waiver dollars, by the way, but we can open up that can of worms later. But no, Parsons, it's literally crazy. He got 3 sacks, and I think he got cheated. Like, he is that dominant, and I don't know.
No waiver dollars, Dustino. Wild, wild west out here, bro.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of waiver dollars. But I think that Parsons is – I don't know why. I don't know if I've never noticed before, but he's jacked this year. He's not as big as Myles Garrett, but it feels like he looks so much different on the football field than everybody else. The guy is going to be up there for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't even know who's in the MVP race. My mind's not there right now, but Parsons is so good. And if the Packers go and make the playoffs, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And you guys just gave him away.
No, it's kind of crazy, dude. The Packers definitely go hold. That's a good win for them. They haven't really beaten a lot of teams other than the Lions by like this great margin. I feel like they're still trying to figure out. They have all these receivers. They got Jordan Love. They get this running game. You don't know exactly where the ball is going, but Romeo Doubs had another decent game. You're seeing Golden work on its connection. So it's there, and Tucker Kraft is always going to be involved in that offense. Love Tucker Kraft. The Packers are just hard to predict where they're actually going to be scripting, if it's going to be heavily throwing, if they're going to be running the ball. So they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde on that, and I guess it's just about their game scripted position. But they're a good team. We already picked them early on. They're going to be in the playoffs and fighting for a position, and I could definitely see some scenarios.
That's interesting, though. Yeah. Do you think – because is Jacoby Brissett better than Kyler Murray? I think he is. I literally
we're all seeing it right now, dude. And I think that you said it really a good point about all the scrambling quarterbacks that make them good at scrambling. It's because their legs get them out of trouble, but they keep their eyes upfield. Kyler Murray does not do that. And it's because he can't even see over anybody.
He can't see it.
When you're tall and you have legs, it's such an advantage to change your throwing lanes, your angles, the whole perspective, your POV over the entire field. Kyler Murray doesn't get that. Can you imagine him wearing meta glasses and like him running and what Kyler Murray sees and how big these players must be compared to him? And the reason why he runs for his life, he can't get that ball out. He can't throw these things. He has to run because he cannot change his angles of throwing. He's too short, bro. Jacoby Brissett, he doesn't even scramble that much, but he can get the ball over the line. You could just see the arm movement, the difference. He can actually step into it. It's wild, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's Brissett's job to lose now, and I think Arizona's going to go in a different direction. Kyler Murray is not. I mean, Kyler Murray, I want to say went to one playoff game, and was embarrassed by Aaron Donald and the Rams. I'm pretty sure that's his only playoff game he's ever been to. He's obviously a good athlete, but I was not high on Trey McBride this year because Kyler Murray's so bad. But now with Brissett there, McBride's a top 3 tight end. I mean, I think McBride had a big game. 10 catches, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 targets. If I'm a Marvin Harrison owner, I love that Brissett's there, even though Harrison hasn't really blew up with him yet. Tyson says the Packers are suspect. They have not looked great, but they've looked good, and I would not want to play them in the playoffs because they have a run game, they have a good quarterback, and a great defense.
Yeah, and they got Lambeau, man. Lambeau sucks in the winter.
Dude. You got Lambeau, and it looks like the way they're going, they're going to make the playoffs. Not a guy you want to play in Parsons. Jordan Love hasn't been amazing. What did he do yesterday? I think he was very pedestrian. He was 19.
They still only have the one loss to the Browns. You know what I mean?
I know. He was 19. Jordan Love was 19 for 29 for 179 yards and 1 touchdown, playing from behind indoors. And you know what? You ready for this? I don't even know if he's listening, but one of our loyal listeners, Kevin Walsh, benched Bo Nix for Jordan Love this week. Which, do you blame him for doing that?
6, 7. You're stupid, Jeff.
But do you blame anybody for benching Bo Nix for Jordan Love?
I mean, I would have started Bo Nix.
Bo Nix has been horrible. Bo Nix has been horrible, dude.
I mean,
he's been bad.
Jordan Love has not been great, dude. Jordan Love has not been great. Better, and you just know that they are more dedicated to the run game. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Arizona,
Denver's dedicated to the run game. Take away what we know about the game. Denver was going to be playing from ahead the whole game. You thought so, right? You thought Denver was going to dominate that game.
If you're asking me off paper, I'm like, Bo Nix has legs. He could definitely run in for a touchdown or so. Is what I would have said. And I like his situation because they have a better defense, and I think they're going to have more offensive touches. Now, it may have worked out without knowing any of the storylines that were going to happen. But if you were to ask me, I would have told you Nix over him for sure.
Imagine benching a quarterback and he puts up 50 in your league.
Make you sick, bro. And these are the kind of wins that cost you playoff positions. We're right now in the middle of this in the season, and there's going to be a lot of 4 and 3s and 3 and 4s, and you got to be on the right side of that number, you know?
I had Jackson Dart on the bench and
didn't feel good about it.
Halfway through the second quarter, I'm like, I literally told Mark, I'm like, if I had Jackson Dart in, I'd be beating you. He's like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, Bo Nix has 3 points. Jackson Dart had 22 or 23 at 24 at half.
CeeDee Lamb had already gotten off the whole thing. You were like, oh no.
Yeah, I thought I was kind of done, but it was nice to see Jahmyr Gibbs go off. All right, let's talk about the Eagles-Vikings game. I think this was what we've expected from the Eagles all year, right? This is like a team, you run the ball and you throw it deep, right? That's all you should do. Run the ball, throw it deep.
But why is Saquon Barkley on the fucking Schneidergan with 18 carries and 44 yards?
I mean, he had the carries. So to me,
18 for 44. Saquon, we all looking at it and knowing, we said, is there meat on the bone taking Saquon so high this year? We're like, I mean, he hasn't even gotten really involved in the passing game. There's a lot of meat left on the bone, right? And we saw it. We knew he wasn't even getting touched 5 yards down the field. And he has not broken out yet this year. We're halfway through the season.
Yeah, I think that it's coming, though. It's coming. And guess what? I tried to get Saquon from Sean because I think because now they're asking him in press conferences, and he snapped back this press conference, and he goes, guys, we beat the Minnesota Vikings, who's a very good team, on the road, and we dominated the whole game. I don't care who gets the ball. Saquon is truly the opposite of A.J. Brown. He can win, but he can't. A.J. Brown wants the stats. Saquon doesn't care about stats. So
yeah, A.J. Brown looks good. Obviously, Devontae Smith just went bonkers. That's that dynamic duo at their best. You can't cover them both, and Devontae Smith just has that deep threat. And obviously, A.J. Brown does too. He's just thicker, so going over the middle, he just presents that perfect balance. And A.J. Brown got involved early. He had that beautiful little catch up the sideline. You saw him scamper in.
Yeah.
And then it was just Devontae Smith deep, Devontae Smith deep, Devontae Smith deep. Jalen Hurts was wide open. I definitely thought the Eagles offense looked better. And I know that Saquon will have bounce back game. And he's too talented to not. I just thought he would have a couple of better games already. Is all.
Eagles cemented themselves as the number one team back into the NFC. Bucks obviously dropped. It's Eagles, Lions, Niners, who are just rosters real deep, obviously.
They're about to be on the docket about talking to them.
What about the guy that's carrying you in fantasy, Colts Chargers, Jonathan Taylor? I mean, obviously, if we were to do a redraft,
Jonathan.
If we did a redraft, he'd be the number one pick, right?
Right, and I got him in that league. I took him first, and I know he had been going in the second round. But with the way our league had gone in the honeypot, I kind of predicted everything down. I knew those backs were going to go early. I was dead right, knowing that Tyson was going to take Derrick Henry, or something like that, right? So we called that, and so I like really thought about it, put some thought into it, looked at his hot start at the end of the year, and I thought the writing was on the wall. Here he comes again this year. Just balling out, picking up where he left off. He just had his third game out of the last 5 games with 3 touchdowns. Yeah. The most interesting stat that I've seen for Jonathan Taylor so far is he's only had 10 or 12 plays. It's like right there, 10, 11, or 12 with either no game or negative. We're 8 weeks in. That means the guy's always getting forward. He's always making progress. And that's what you need. He's clearly the focal point in that offense. Daniel Jones is doing his thing, so it's giving him balance. Feel very fortunate to have Jonathan Taylor in a lot of leagues.
He looks.
You just hope that God blesses
fast.
those legs and he just stays healthy for the rest of the year because he's dominant right now.
He looks so explosive. It's like crazy. Like he gets shot out of a cannon every time he hits the hole.
This is what we saw from him out of Wisconsin when he was out of college, though. Like he looked just like this.
Yeah, and he was the hands down, no doubt, first pick in the draft 2 years ago. And then he stumbled because first
he had the mental
Richardson.
thing. He had some bad games. They were saying it's like mental.
Yeah.
They had Anthony Richardson. They weren't getting him the ball. It was just the right
kind
of circumstance.
Yeah, Daniel Jones has opened things up for him. I mean, Daniel Jones, everyone's waiting for him to fall flat on his face, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that now, do you think the Colts win the Super Bowl? You think the Colts go to the Super Bowl?
Man, I'm telling you right now, I think that the Colts are going to beat one of the big 3. I think they can beat the Bills for sure.
Yep.
I think they can compete with the Chiefs for sure. And I think they can beat the Ravens because the Ravens don't have a defense. So, I mean, when you look at those teams, you're like, maybe the Chiefs are like the best match for them. And
would that be crazy and sad and happy, but really more sad if they won they win the championship the year Irsay dies?
I know.
That would suck. It would be great. But you would just be like, man, oh God, when they're on the podium, if we're calling this now, I'm not saying it, if they're on the podium winning a just an AFC championship game.
Sure.
There's not going to be a dry eye watching that TV when they say this season, this game, this is for Jim Irsay. There won't be a dry eye in this country if that ends up happening, which would be pretty magical to happen.
And I think that the Colts are going to be right there. They're definitely going to be winning that division, I think. And they're going to be a team that you're going to have to go play in Lucas Oil. You know what I mean? They got potential home games. And
you know what? They're not – it's really I think the only question mark is Daniel Jones, right? Because their offensive line is great. Jonathan Taylor is amazing. Now Pittman and Tyler Warren and Pierce, Downs is about to get healthy again. I mean, they have weapons everywhere.
You could have started Alec Pierce right off the wire. He's on the honeypot wire. You could have plugged him right in your lineup, went out and got like 80 yards, led the team in yardage. You know what I mean? Not in catches, but in yardage. So, no, the Colts are an interesting team. I think you got to elevate them to like the top 4 to 6 teams over there. And we'll see barring health and everything. They're a dangerous team. And I think they've definitely shown everybody how real they are. I remember picking whenever I got stuck with the Colts and I did the pop-off show with Caleb Pickett and all that. I was picking, Daniel Jones is the breakout player over Anthony Richardson. Here he is. Here he goes. The Colts are doing it. It's kind of sad they did
MVP. They're saying MVP top 3 in MVP. If the season was to end right now, he would be up for an MVP. That's like, if we said that in July, like literally, YouTube would turn us off.
Hot take. Like, Daniel Jones, MVP halfway through the season. Yeah. People like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, propaganda. YouTube would be like, they would just shut the window, turn the window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, you're right, man. The Colts are for real. That's definitely a team to watch going forward, and they got a very favorable schedule. What about the Falcons Niners? Obviously, the Falcons just beat the crap out of the Bills.
I can't figure them out.
But the Falcons get a good survivor matchup this next week. If I do remember, the Falcons are playing a home against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a nice little matchup to preview next week. But this week, they go in and they absolutely get pushed around. Bijan Robinson did not look the same. You did have the Niners. Christian McCaffrey just goes nuts, right?
Yeah.
No Brock
Purdy. I can't figure them out, though. Jones. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, Bijan Robinson's obviously great. We know that.
I think it's Falcons at home, right? Is kind of the balance that we're seeing.
How did the Niners lose Fred Warner and Bosa and all their secondary, and this is the best defensive performance they've had all year? Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand how the Niners have such a good roster. I don't understand how the Falcons could blow out the Bills. They blew them out at home on primetime. Then the next game, primetime also, they got beat very easily. You can't say obliterated, but they got beat they got very easily. Pitts had a good game, 10 targets. I tell you what, if I had Pitts or Drake London, I'm feeling pretty good about it, though.
Yep.
Drake London, Drake London's getting double-digit targets every game. Penix.
We all talked about Pitts. I know Tyson Thomas was all over Kyle Pitts this year, and it's crazy to think he's been around forever, and I think he's only like 26. Like, the guy's just so young. Yeah. Everyone wrote him off years ago. It's crazy.
25, he came 26. Out from
Florida, had a 1,000-yard rookie year, and then didn't do anything since,
Yeah.
Just such a crazy story.
Looks great on the field. What about, really quick, I'll sum it up really quick. What about fantasy studs and duds? Genty. Let's do the fantasy duds. Studs, we all know who's great. Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. I don't even know if it's in that order, but those are the fantasy studs for this week.
Obviously, just league winner. CeeDee Lamb's back, right? You had some big wins there. Yeah. Ferguson, top tight end, McBride. Yeah, we covered some. McCaffrey.
What about the fantasy duds?
Pulling Sean Overman to so many wins this year. My God, the week 14 bye for the Niners doing a lot of people favors, man. Duds, though, I told you, Bill. I think that he's just one of my biggest disappointments because he's just given this opportunity and everybody just keeps talking about it. He had the one breakout game. I think Krosky Merritt, ultra disappointing. You mentioned Ashton Genty, another ultra disappointing game. I think
seven touches, that's crazy. Like, the guy's your number one pick and you can't move the ball. You're going to put it in Geno Smith's hands, but not Ashton Genty's hands. Like, you're going to leave it up to him. Yeah, Krosky Merritt also had 13 carries. So, like, he's getting the carry. That's a lot of carries for a
That's what I'm saying. It's disappointing, dude. It's very disappointing. Against the Dallas defense, that, don't get me wrong, I'll only hang my hat that we held Saquon to like 60 yards. So, I mean, our run defense can, in spots, be okay. It seems like it's our secondary that's more susceptible, right?
Saquon's been a fantasy dud. Ashton Genty, fantasy dud.
Right.
Josh Jacobs, I know he came back from injury, but that could have been an easy game for him to get like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He couldn't get there.
Was a dud this week. Like, there's no reason that he shouldn't have been on fire and being so heavily targeted. And with the Browns were up all game.
I will say this though,
they were bad, right?
3 picks. If I had Waddle, I would have benched him this week. To be honest with you,
sure.
I wouldn't have played Waddle this week. It was 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, pouring the whole game.
Right.
Judkins over under was like 94.5 rushing yards on Hard Rock. That's the highest. That's the highest you'll ever see.
Sure.
And he didn't get there, by the way, even though he had 3 touchdowns. And he had 75 yards halfway through the second quarter, but whatever. But it was just one of those things where Tua can't throw. Anyways, now put 40 mile per hour winds in there with the rain.
Moves, yeah.
Can't play Waddle there. But you're right. Still a fantasy dud, no matter how you say it. How about
what it is, man?
I thought Fields was going to have a big day.
Right.
This was like a perfect matchup for Fields because
I just can't believe he didn't go run for 180 yards and throw for $120 or something. I mean, it should have been 300 scrimmage. He should have been. There was so many times he could have just took off.
Instead, he got benched. Swift, fantasy stud, right?
Stud, absolutely, and Montague.
Yeah.
I told you about Montague. I think he's on a lot of wires too. Anybody who's looking for another waiver wire stash.
Oh, there you go. That's a
If
great fantasy pickup.
Swift doesn't, make it into a game, they're going to pick right up with that boy Montague. He's good.
I'll never forget when Swift was on the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like Deuce Staley or somebody. It was the running back coach. It was when – hold on, wait a minute. I don't know. It was Hard Knocks. I'm all over the place. But they said that – I don't know, whatever. It was – no, he was with the Lions. It was with the Lions. Swift was with the Lions. And it was Hard Knocks. And the running back coach said he's one of the most talented running backs I've ever seen. He just doesn't believe it. So Swift had kind of like those confident issues. You know what I mean? Like you see how McCaffrey always picks the right hole, right? Judkins, another one of those guys. Like there's a swag. Like they just cut into the hole. Like the hole's not there. And then when they cut, it opens up. Running back, it's like an artwork. It's like an artwork. It's not all athletic ability. You have to know what hole to hit. And the holes are not always.
Every little nuance, yeah.
Because think about like on a trap, your guard is coming in and you're hitting a hole that's not there yet on a lot of plays. And there's just a lot of mental strength when it comes to being a running back. They said Swift didn't have it at that time, but the talent was there. It looks like Ben Johnson. Now, Swift has had a good year, so we're not, Swift has been good for a long time. Yep. But Ben Johnson looks like he's kind of getting him to that point where, honestly, I don't see a big difference between like a Swift and Git. It's like that one cut where it's like a boom and it explodes through the line. Really cool. Any other fantasy duds that are like just really bad?
I mean, if you're talking about it, I think when it comes to my mind, man, I just can't stand it. I always think about the Dolphins. I know Achane had some bright spots. I just feel like it was one of the more dynamic offenses, and that just keeps coming to mind. Any other disappointing games?
Raji Rice was a fantasy, and Jeff brought this up on the group chat too. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, they all went out of their way to make Raji Rice feel right at home after he almost killed somebody and sped off, right?
Right.
But like they targeted him so much on those first couple of drives.
Absolutely.
And I was playing against them, and I'm just like, I felt like the whole world was against him. I'm like, what's going on? Like, they're literally throwing him the ball every time on screen passes, on shovel pass. I'm like, is this like real life? But they obviously did it for a reason. They want to get his confidence up.
He was targeted. Well, he has 7 catches. 10 targets.
But the thing is,
10 targets.
All those 10 targets were in the first quarter.
Early. Yeah, they were all early.
It was 31-0. They took him out of the game. But that was a big fantasy stud there. I tell you what, Kyren Williams. I heard when I wanted Drake London and Kyren Williams or I wanted Brian Thomas Jr. and Kyren Williams for Jahmyr Gibbs. And Sean told me after like the 1 week, Kyren Williams and Gibbs are about equal. Why would I do that trade? I'm like, what? That was because Kyren Williams that week outscored Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm like, we know the Gibbs game is coming. And if you watch that game yesterday, when Montgomery is on the field, that offense is not as good. It's not even close. And when Gibbs, and I'm trying to look at it from a non-biased approach because I have Gibbs, but when Gibbs is on the field, that offense is explosive. And Montgomery also missed a really bad block that could have cost him the game at the time. It was crazy, but literally Montgomery just blitz coming right in. Montgomery saw him straight whiffed. I just think Montgomery's had some good games. He'll still have good games, but that offense is not as good when Montgomery's on the field.
Understood. How about the emergence of Jordan Addison really getting settled in there and Carson Wentz loving him? Somebody we didn't really talk about.
Wentz
loves him. He had 12 targets. JJ had 10. So I mean, he was definitely
Wentz looks at him a little more.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, man, watching that game, Justin Jefferson is such a premium athlete. It's like crazy. I always thought he was one of those guys that was like really good at catching, good route running, a more technical guy and not as much athletic. You see what I'm trying to say? I knew he was good, but he is not. He is like a top.
I'll never forget the Jefferson catch when they had when Kirk Cousins threw him the ball in that Bills game, and it was that epic finish a few years ago, and he just like goes up and just makes this crazy one-handed catch in front of two defenders, comes down, gives the Vikings life, yada yada. That was like the play that I knew that he was athletic, but how high his vertical got, the way that he like stopped the ball and he was
and I thought he was good at that.
Catches it like and comes down. It was a freakish play. You know what I mean?
You're right. And I always thought he was good at. I thought he was good at jump balls. But did you see that play where they threw him a screen pass and the Eagle guy had him in the sideline? He was pinned. And Jefferson shook him on the sideline and went like 35 more yards, tight roping the sideline. I always knew Jefferson was a good jump ball guy. I did not know he was that athletic after the catch. See what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like after the catch, this guy is like bigger, faster, stronger than everybody on the field.
He looks nasty whenever he catches those short passes. He doesn't ever like just lay down. He runs into people, and he's not that big, but he runs tough, man. It's something about that LSU mentality, just the way those boys aren't ever scared of contact, you know?
Yeah. So we've talked about we've talked about everything. Let's do a quick World Series preview. I thought it was cool yesterday how George Springer hits that bomb and the guy in the crowd is wearing a Springer jersey, which you got to think that's probably like what? I mean, the number one selling jerseys, Vladimir.
Sure.
Number two is Bichette, right?
Sure.
Springer is probably top 5.
Sure. And he had a great year last year, and he's had an amazing year this year.
Yeah, for the guy in the crowd to be wearing the Springer jersey to catch the home run. And it was one of those things when you're watching, you're like, you know, this. I think it was first and second, so it could have been like a double play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. It all is in perspective, right? Like when the guy hits a home run with no outs, man on second and third, like in the 5th inning, but it's just like you had to get it done.
It was in the 7th inning. You already had Julio Rodriguez hit a bomb. You already had Cal Riley hit a bomb. You're down
3-1.
You feel your chances are waning. And he just clutched it, dude. It was such a pretty hit.
I would be shocked.
The way he came in, he was pumped. The Jays, I picked the Jays last night. I thought they were going to pull it off. Obviously, they got lucky. You know what I mean? You got to sit there and have some luck on your side. They were definitely the right team at the right time. Vlad is just in his own little world right now. And
do you think they stand a chance? Do you think I
think they're going to get – I think you got to say they got a puncher's chance. They've just been so hot. I think now the only thing that we're all fearful of is that LA's pitching is so dominant.
It's ridiculous, dude.
It just shuts them down. And especially whenever you talk about their first 4 in rotation, it's just unbelievable. It could be a sweep. You know what I mean? It could literally be a sweep. But this is why they play the game.
I would be surprised if it's not a sweep. But, I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
This is why they play the game. I like the Jays. I think the Jays could push it to 6. I think they got a couple in them. They got, you know, we like you, Savage. They got Gossman. They got some dudes that could they could ball.
Yeah.
They could have a couple wins if they get you Savage in that rotation twice.
I know. It's just like Snell looked like not good all year, and now he's unbelievable.
And Yamamoto looks unreal. And then Ohtani is doing things that only Ohtani does. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, man. So, yeah, I know that all the stack is definitely – or all the deck is stacked against him. The Jays are the wild – they're the undercard or the underdog. They're the wild card. I think that the Jays are the darling of this World Series. Everybody expects LA to win. The only reason why it's going to be a touted World Series is because LA's in it. And we kind of have that pegged, and a lot of people are going to watch. It's going to help the ratings. But nobody really cares if LA wins this World Series.
Baseball
it would be a more
ratings
exciting
are down.
story if somehow Toronto pulls this shit out, dude.
Baseball ratings are down, and they will go up if Toronto could win a game or two. But it was cool to see the Toronto energy, and, you know.
One more run for the overpaid. I'm telling you, man.
Over under was 7.5, and
Vegas pegged it. They just had it right on.
If you ever take over unders, and trust me, no one has taken more over unders than Tyson and I in MLB baseball. 7.5 is always that one that like it's a scary number because if you take over,
let's go.
If you take over 6.5, all you need is they both score 3 and you win, right? If you take over 8.5, all you need is they both score 4 and you win. But 7.5 is that it's the most popular over-under number. And it's always that one where it's like that carrot. Vegas just dangles that carrot in front of you. 7.5, 2 aces. There's no aces on the field. Come on, that's an easy over/under, but it wasn't easy.
It was not an easy one, man. Sorry about that, T. But yeah, man, great show. What is this?
You're right about that, Jeff. Don't take overs in Game 7. Yeah, because pitching is usually going to be more intense, and also,
well, the nerves of everybody.
Yeah, and once the bullpens come into play, deep bullpens are usually, these guys have 1 inning in their biggest start of their career, so they're throwing 100 miles per hour.
Right.
Once you get to the bullpens, scoring usually goes quiet. Obviously, Springer had a 3-run homer.
Danger is my middle name.
But hey, guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate the energy. It was super fun. I love talking sports.
Brett, glad to have you back. Glad we had a little time off for you. Hope the family and vacation, obviously, with your week in fantasy. I know you're just on top of cloud 9. We appreciate you. We'll be back Thursday to preview, talk Survivor football, and exactly what's going on in the sports world. Like, subscribe, get us out. Props.
Basketball is tonight. Really quick though,
Game
but
1.
I really don't. I don't know why I don't care.
The Rockets, right?
Yeah, I think that also. I think it's the Rockets, right? They're starting the biggest starting 5 in NBA history. Is this true? I think I heard that.
Something like that, right? Some of the notes.
Let me see.
It's the Warriors versus. Is it Lakers? Something like that. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I think the end of the Knicks season was so grueling. I'm just not excited for this. But being an Orlando Magic, clear Magic second favorite team. I love the Magic. It's probably like the only team I actually root for that is Jeff's a fan of. But because I purposely root against the other ones, But I think that
Magic are going to make a run this year. They should be a top 3 seed.
If they stay healthy, that defensive backcourt in the playoffs are going to give people freaking headaches with Suggs and Bane. They got to find one more little piece, but the Magic could be a top 3 seed easily.
So I like the Magic. I like the Cavs, the Knicks. Obviously, we'll see how the Celtics finish whenever they get everybody back. The Magic should have a clear path, I think, to a top 4 seed, period, barring health. And out of the West, man, I think the Spurs come out big this year. I do like the Thunder to repeat, obviously. They look so good. And then, the Nuggets are going to be right there. But I like Wemby and the Spurs. I'm a Spurs fan, Magic fan. I would love to see that be in a Final Four, like the Thunder and the Spurs, the Magic and the Cavs, or the Knicks. Magic Knicks would be better, right? And just see that, because I know nobody's going to give the East a chance against anybody in the West, regardless. So we'll just kind of, rest on an Eastern Conference championship. But that would be big strides. Orlando, not known to be the biggest basketball town, but I think they're ready for it. I think they're thirsty. Everybody kind of sees in town that the Magic are primed, that they're ready, and this is their moment. So let's go Magic.
I don't know. I think the Orlando Magic is a good basketball town. I'm surprised more people don't come here, but it's okay. Hold on one second. So this is a starting lineup for the Rockets.
If you're a Bulls fan, go watch the Kings. It's your roster 2 years ago. Eat a dick.
Yeah. It's the Rockets are starting Amen Thompson at point guard.
Right. Which is wild.
Kevin Durant at shooting guard.
Right.
Jabari Smith Jr. at small forward. Sengun at power forward.
7-footer.
Steven Adams at center. It's the tallest starting lineup in NBA history. I'm pretty sure they said it today.
You're literally talking, what is that, like almost 40 feet of men? You know what I mean? That's
dude.
That's wild. 40 feet of straight men.
Amen Thompson is by far, thanks, Eric. Amen Thompson is by far the shortest guy on that court at 6'8", right? Also super cool, right? Eric takes you to the Jaguars game last week. Yep. Fan of the show. Thanks to this show, you got to do that. Thanks to the show, I got to go to the Hurricanes game. Right. Tough loss, but just feel thankful to some of the people listening to the show. They get to kind of do some fun things. Yep. We're obviously never going to see money from this podcast, but it is cool to get free tickets and go, have a good time with some of the listeners, right? So we appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate y'all. Everyone have a good day. Prop Stars out. We'll be back in 2 days, man. Peace.
All right. Yeah, 2 days.